Welcome back, everybody. My name is Tucker, and in today's video, we're going to be talking, or the second of today's videos, we're going to be talking about the LA Clippers. And this is a team that I have a, let's just say, interesting relationship with. I picked them to win the title last year. I felt confident about it. I thought they were the best team in the league. From a talent perspective, they were playing really well. You know, they matched up well with the Lakers in the few regular season games that they had. And ultimately, they didn't even make the conference finals. You know, they lost a 3-1 lead. We can, go over that time and time again. And I even went so far as to make fun of the Marcus Morris contract and to make fun of them for getting absolutely pummeled by the Mavericks last week. But in today's video, I'm here to tell you that the LA Clippers are still a factor. They're still a good basketball team, and they're still a team that I would be concerned about if I was, one of the teams that I thought was going to be contending at the top of the Western Conference. Because whenever I watch them, I'm still, just like last year, a bit enamored with like the ceiling of this group. And when everything is going properly, the talent and the ability that they have on both ends of the floor is still incredibly intriguing to me, and it's still a team to watch throughout the season. And again, I get it. It's the Clippers. It's, the 3-1 lead, and they replaced Doc Rivers with Ty Lue. Is that really supposed to make that much of a difference? I've made all these points in the past already, but let's move forward. Let's talk about what's happening this year rather than focusing so much on last year, right? Because this is a team that has beaten the Lakers, Nuggets, Timberwolves, and Blazers, three of which are legitimate, really good Western Conference teams. And if you take out that crazy Mavs game, which I know is a big ask, their only blemish on their record to this point is a close loss to the Jazz the other night. So, are we underestimating the Clippers? Are we not taking them seriously enough? I think there's an argument to be made there. And all I'm saying is that I think these guys are a factor at the top of the Western Conference again this year. I think some people wanted to write them off, say they're going to be the fourth or the fifth best team in the West. They're going to completely crumble after the 3-1 lead thing. I'm not ready to say that just yet. Obviously, the postseason is an entirely different animal, but let's talk about what's been happening so far this year, because they have a top 10 offense in the league, but their defensive rating is way, 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 way down there, especially in comparison to what it was last year, which was 6th. And as I talked about in the Nuggets video earlier today, a lot of teams are a mess defensively right now because of the quick turnaround, the shortened time to prepare for the season. And they're obviously playing some good teams offensively. Lakers, Nuggets, Timberwolves, Blazers. They're playing some good teams offensively, and obviously the Mavs absolutely destroyed them as well. So, they're going to be a bit of a mess in the beginning of the year, just like most teams. They're playing good teams. Maybe that defensive rating gets spiked up because everybody's just trying to kind of figure it out. They're playing good offenses. But I'm not really worried about them on defense, right? Like a team with Kawhi Leonard, Paul George, Patrick Beverley, Serge Ibaka, a couple of other pieces, like they should be good defensively. There's no scenario in which they should be bad defensively when fully healthy. They might not be great. They might not be the best defensive team in the league, but there's no scenario in which they should ever be a bad defensive team. And the offenses look good to this point. Paul George's look good. Kawhi's look good. Ibaka's fit in pretty seamlessly. They've got a nice little big man rotation there in the front court. They've got some shooting off the ball. And I think the most promising thing for me about this team this year is it seems leaner. It seems much more streamlined, right? It's Kawhi and it's PG. And when they're on the floor, everything's running through those guys. There's a little bit of Luke Kennard stuff sprinkled in there, but other than that, Batum is out there to move the ball and make shots. Beverly's out there to guard and make shots. Serge Ibaka can space it a little bit. He's out there to protect the rim, roll to the rim. Zubac is their big physical guy that they can play inside, rebound and defend and score in the paint, provide a little bit more of a physical presence. They've got other guys on the wings that are there to space and to guard. And everything else is about Paul George and Kawhi Leonard. And it feels leaner. It feels more streamlined. It feels like everybody knows what they're supposed to be doing. There's not 30-minute per game Lou Williams games and 30-minute per game Montrezl Harrell games. Lou Williams is still there. He's still doing some things, but he's not doing nearly as much. And I personally think that's a positive, especially as you get into the postseason on the defensive end of the floor. Because as you look at that Clippers team last year, what were the issues? Well, one, you didn't really know what their closing lineup was, right? And I had that concern throughout the year. I was like, I think they're talented. I think they're really good. My one issue is, how do they close games in the playoffs? And that turned out to be a huge problem. They were giving up leads late. Obviously, they gave up a huge series lead. And I think that problem has been mostly remedied. You can envision a lineup to close games, right? Paul George, Kawhi Leonard, Marcus Morris, Patrick Beverley, probably, and then one of the big guys, Zubac or Ibaka. Or if they happen to be matching up against a team like the Lakers that is going bigger later into games, you can play Ibaka and you can play Zubac at the same time. There's just a little bit more interchangeability here. You can throw Luke Kennard in there if he's having a good game and you want more spacing on the floor. There's a bit more of a clear endgame lineup that does not involve Lou Williams or Montrezl Harrell, because defensively, those guys were a disaster, right? So that was one of the issues. Now, one of the others was, how are they going to perform in the postseason, the Paul George of it all? That is still not remedied. However, we also have to remember how good Kawhi was with Toronto when they made that postseason run, and one of the reasons why I believed in them so much was because of Kawhi. It wasn't just they've got 2 superstars and then they've got all these other pieces. They're a really deep team. It was they're a really deep team, but the best guy on the roster is Kawhi, and we just saw him take a team, to a championship and was awesome in the postseason. And that thing, that part of it still needs to be considered, right? So defensively, they need to get better, and I think they will. They're integrating some new pieces. Ibaka has been good, but not great. They're still kind of trying to figure that out. But I think overall, you could make an argument that this roster is better than it was the year before. And in contrast to the Nuggets team that we were talking about earlier, if you watch that video, one of the points that was made was they're struggling defensively, and it's a bit of a personnel issue, right? Like, you don't really know if there's an answer on the roster right now to the struggles that they're having defensively. And where's the upside come from? Where's the improvement going to come from for them throughout the year? Pretty much everybody's been healthy. In contrast to that, this Clippers team has not played with Marcus Morris yet. And as much fun of the contract in the offseason as I made, regarding Marcus Morris, he's still a good player. He's still going to help them. He can still guard. He can still shoot. And he's still a critical part of the rotation and arguably a starting caliber player for them. And that provides them upside. There's improvement to be had once he comes back and is healthy. And as long as this team is fully healthy throughout the year and into the postseason, they're a top 3 team in the West for me right now. And I know that there have been some really, really good teams starting out the year. Teams like Phoenix that are, again, really, really good. But I just think from a roster construction standpoint, from a talent standpoint, I still have the Clippers as a top 3 seed. Now, I know it's the Clippers. And trust me, I'm not falling back into the trap of thinking that they're going to win the title or anything this year. I still have not fully evaluated any team as a potential title contender this year. All I'm saying is I started at this bar of like, should the Clippers be considered? Should they be a factor to potentially win the title this year? I started there, and in the games that I've watched, the answer has been yes. Now, the Mavs thing was really bad, but I think we can push that away as an outlier. We've made fun of it. We can move on. And so I've established themselves in my own mind as a factor in the West this year. And we'll see if they can figure it out defensively. We'll see if the offensive stuff keeps up. The other thing that I mentioned in the upside category is the Luke Kennard of it all. And I know that it's kind of odd to be considering him as some relatively critical piece on the Clippers, but I think that there could be something there. He hasn't been great yet from a number standpoint, but he certainly can space the floor. And I think there's a little bit of like ball handling, playmaking in there that could be really good as well. Obviously, defensively, he's got to figure some stuff out if he wants to be on the floor at the end of games, but I think there's something there. There's an interesting little wrinkle there that, could potentially provide them some more upside on the offensive end of the floor. So at the end of the day, I think that they've unlocked some interesting defensive stuff with the addition of Ibaka, and their closing lineup is better. Their defense should be better, as we get throughout the season here. And it just feels like maybe a bit more of a complete team while also being more streamlined, which is kind of a weird, thing to put together there. But that's where I'm at right now with the Clippers. I think they're really good. I think they're going to be a factor at the top of the West. And again, health, as long as health isn't a factor, as long as they're healthy, this is a team that's going to have to be reckoned with top of the West as we get to the postseason. So if you're a Nuggets fan, a Suns fan, Lakers fan, Mavs fan, whatever, any of those teams that are going to be at the top, you're still going to have to think about the Clippers this year. Whatever you think of them, they're going to be around. That's all I'm going to say. They're still a really, really good NBA basketball team. But that is going to be the end of today's video, and I thank you all very much for watching. Once again, my name is Tucker. If you missed any of my previous videos, then be sure to check out the boxes on screen. I upload twice a day, every day, all throughout the NBA season, so it is a great place for consistent NBA content. You can also leave a like rating on the videos as well. It helps me out a ton. It lets me know that you're enjoying the content and helps get the videos out to more people on YouTube as well. And you can check me out at various socials at the bottom of the screen. There's a link tree down in the description below. With all those things said, I hope you guys have an awesome rest of your day, and I will see you in tomorrow's videos. I'll be uploading once again 2 times. With all those things said, hope you guys have an awesome rest of your day, and I will see you all next time.